about a 24-foot go fast, had gone up. They went airborne. When they hit the water, they immediately did a right-hand turn, and it threw both of the occupants out of the boat.
Hi, I'm Randy Vance with Icom America's Tales from Channel 16. Today we're visiting with Jeff Decker, who is the boating recreational specialist from the United States Coast Guard and based in Washington, D.C. Jeff's job is about getting out the boating safety message and managing safety programs throughout the United States through a grant program on the U.S. Coast Guard. Jeff, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Randy. It's a pleasure to be here and have a conversation with your audience.
So, Jeff, you work in boating safety. Are you a boater yourself?
I am. Yeah. So I've got a trailerable boat sitting in my driveway right now. Joined the Coast Guard when I was 18 and, have been fortunate enough to sail all the Great Lakes and both oceans. And so, yeah, I've been around recreational boating for a long time.
So do you have a radio on your boat?
I do. I have a VHF FM DSC ready radio.
What's the weirdest call you ever heard?
Yeah. We've had my dogs fallen overboard. With Coast Guard, a lot of it was, some really serious stuff, carbon monoxide poisoning, dead bodies on board the boat, boats on fire, taking on water. I did have an incident when I was out in California. Stopped a guy and asked him to have his state registration ready when I got on board. And as soon as I got on board, he said, "Oh, I need to go get my registration." And he bolted down into the cabin of the sailboat. And it was really strange how he reacted. So I actually pulled my service revolver out, and he was reaching into a drawer that contained a gun.
Oh, my goodness.
So it turned out he was smuggling some narcotics back up from Mexico. And it was just, fortunate on my part that I had the training and the wherewithal to notice something was not usual.
I was embedded on the Alex Haley and the Stratton on 2 different occasions.
Right.
And I noticed they start having snowflake and marijuana leaf flags on the side of the bridge.
Right.
You're doing a lot of drug interdiction now.
Yeah, well, the Coast Guard's been doing that, since the early 70s.
Yeah.
Before that, it was, Prohibition era, with the whiskey runners back in the 20s. That's just kind of the roles that the Coast Guard gets put into.
Tales from Channel 16 is brought to you by Icom America. Clearly the most reliable choice in professional quality marine communications, and the makers of the new ICM 510BB black box radio with 3 command mic ports and a playback and receive feature, so you never have to ask the caller to repeat again.
We also are in charge of ensuring that our regulations are keeping up with industry, innovations and that sort of thing. An example of that is recently e-foils and jet boards have hit the market.
Yep.
The e-foils and the majority of the jet boards are battery powered. Since they have motors on them, that's the key to having them to be required to be registered by the states. Some of the jet boards are gasoline powered. So because it's gasoline powered, they have to have a fire extinguisher.
Right.
But if you look at that craft, there's absolutely nowhere a fire extinguisher would be able to be attached. So we made the trade-off that if they're wearing their life jacket, they're not required to carry the fire extinguisher on the jet boards.
In your career in the Coast Guard and since then, how many accidents have you been aware of or been involved with from a rescue standpoint where people were ejected from a running boat?
So there was one specific occasion that I remember where about a 24-foot go fast had gone up. They went airborne. When they hit the water, they immediately did a right-hand turn, and it threw both of the occupants out of the boat. And this was like October up in Michigan. So cold water, neither one of them wearing a life jacket. Fortunately, there was another boat out there that saw what happened, and they called us. The boat that threw them out was circling them, and it was getting it's called the circle of death.
Sure.
And that boat was just circling these two individuals, and they were doing everything in their power to stay out of the path of the vessel. So then they pull the two individuals out. And this is what shock and cold water can do to you. So they bring them back to the station, which was about a 20-minute drive, so not long. They get the guys onto the dock. So I did a physical assessment on them, and the one guy had a mark on his thigh about that wide and at least an inch or inch and a half thick, right into the side of his thigh. I said, I'm calling an ambulance. You have a serious injury here. And he goes, oh, no, I don't know. And they weren't drinking or anything. Okay. But then he went to stand up and passed out cold. He had a broken femur, and he didn't even realize it because of the cold shock and everything that they had experienced. Yeah, things can happen real quick. And that's why recently the Congress actually put a new boating law into effect that requires all boats under 26 feet, when they're equipped with the engine cutoff switch, they have to wear the link. So that could be the coiled lanyard that attaches to you and to the engine cutoff switch. Just kind of want people to be aware that, we get people every year that are killed because of being ejected out of their boat and getting run over by the prop.
Well, Jeff, thanks so much for being with us today, and the messages that you bring to us for boating safety and your experiences. I'm Randy Vance, and this is Icom America's Tales from Channel 16. Tales from Channel 16 are brought to you by Icom America, the makers of world-class VHF marine communications equipment and the official VHF radio of Boating Magazine's cover shoots.